And so today we are going to again just hit on three particular objectives. One, hearing, learning, and then discussing. So hearing about the online student classroom experiences, learning tips and strategies on how to support students while in remote learning, and lastly, discussing FAU student resources with you. We understand that there is a Faculty Senate meeting at 1 o'clock p.m. today, so we will be very cognizant of your time, and we'll navigate through this presentation so that you can get a good seat for Faculty Senate. As we mentioned, and the opening slide was to have you discuss three key takeaways that you may have experienced from working with students during this period of remote learning. And for some of you, you have talked about empathy, how it's experimental, convenient, how some students are disengaged, how some students may even see this to be easier, time consuming for faculty, definitely for preparation. So we are definitely going to agree with many of those, and we're going to hit on some additional ones that students may be experiencing during this point in time.
And it's very interesting just to note how I appreciate all of your responses, how they're skewing quite positive, and that's really great. We're not meaning to be negative. We have five key takeaways of the student experience, but when we're talking about supporting students, we're primarily focusing on the areas where students may be struggling. So these five takeaways are not representative of the whole university community. These are our experiences working with students through our center during this period of remote learning. So the first takeaway is students are frustrated. So, and I bet you that a lot of us can definitely empathize with that, right, Judy? Someone put empathetic in there. It has been frustrating transitioning so quickly to fully online. Looking at it from the student perspective, many students are not learning online by choice. Some of them even feel shortchanged, that they're not getting the in classroom experience, that they're no longer on campus. And that leads to feelings of frustrations for the students. For some of these students that are frustrated, it's their first experience with online learning. So they've never taken an online class, even in normal times. And you can imagine with all the other stressors that are going on in their worlds, that it can be really challenging to just jump into online learning. It's frustrating, especially if they don't understand the expectations for academic success in an online course. They don't know how long they should be active in the course. They don't know how to communicate with the faculty member, et cetera. So there is a quite a learning curve. Even though our students are fluent with technology, they're not necessarily fluent with educational technology. So many of them are frustrated, and that brings us to the last point. Tech literacy is a daunting barrier. I'm sure that some of you may be there as a faculty member learning to teach online. Things don't translate exactly. Figuring out how to navigate platforms such as WebEx, like we're on right now, that can be a real challenge for students as well, and it leads to feelings of frustration. By the way, we have sources, and I'm sure the Center for the e-learning center will share this with you all, the PowerPoint, but there are sources for each of these takeaways. These are articles from the Chronicle of Higher Education, Campus Technology. They're not peer reviewed, but they're current and written by many of them by academic support staff.
The second feeling that some students may feel is that of loneliness. Students miss the interaction with their peers and also with faculty members. Like many of you, you miss the human interaction, the connection with many people. And for students, able to dialogue with their colleagues, find understanding in questions that may be asked during lecture, and even collaborate on group projects are greatly missed during this point in time. And as Patrick mentioned, This is, for many students, their first time in an online learning environment, especially for some of our non-traditional students. We've received a few phone calls from students on trying to navigate through the online environment. And so for many of them, they don't have necessarily that person that can hold their hand and help navigate through the process as easily. And so this leads to, again, students feeling especially lonely in online courses that may not be recorded, or that they are, or may have live lectures, or virtual office hours that may be conducive. We all know, as faculty members, you all know that office hours are available to students. But for many of them, the hours that are available are not available when the student wants it to be available. Many students want the hours for you to be at 12 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. And as we know, we can't be all things to all people at all times. And so we know that this is not realistic. Therefore, and this kind of leads into the third point of responding to emails in a sufficient amount of time would hopefully ease that loneliness for some of those students. Again, some students feel isolated from university resources. And when students cannot necessarily get to someone on the phone or hear back from an FAU representative in a timely fashion, many times these students feel as if there's quote unquote no one on the other side. For example, some members of the university are making phone calls currently. Some members from the class office are also making these phone calls to students about registration. And based on some of the feedback, many students and also their parents have been elated by the fact that there's an actual person that is speaking to them about some of the resources that are available. And so, again, when there's a human connection, then the student doesn't feel as lonely or as disconnected from the institution.
Thank you, Ronald. So the next point is that students feel really stranded now. And I'm sure, again, a lot of faculty members can relate to this. I'm in my office, I think, for the second time since the university closure. And let me just tell you, this is like my oasis. This is my 8 by 8 area that is purely my own, where I can come and think and work. It is difficult to be stranded, feeling stranded as a student while you're learning online for a class. And the aspect of being stranded that I just want to highlight here is many students don't have access to reliable internet. As faculty members, we can think this is, a basic for a college education, that it's almost a public good. How can you not have internet? But the reality is that many of our students don't have reliable internet at home. Many of them rely on public Wi-Fi, places like Starbucks, Panera Bread, or public libraries to do work. Now, with the COVID closures, those resources are not available to students. So there's been some articles, and I've cited a couple for you down the bottom here. Students are using cell phones and their own data to complete their online courses. Students are also using parking lots. Some Starbucks is one example. They've kept all their Wi-Fi on, so you can still connect to Wi-Fi from the parking lot. They've done that purposely, but there's quite a few stories in the news of students completing their coursework in a car. And that can lead to feelings of feeling very stranded. Again, since the closure, students have sort of been uprooted, and they're not doing typically what they would during a normal academic term. And just think about it, taking an online class, completing it in the parking lot of a Starbucks at night, trying to have your textbook, trying to have your laptop, just managing that. So I think we need to be aware of this as faculty. I run a hotspot loan program through the Center for Learning and Student Success, and during the best of times, so before COVID, we have an application for these hotspot loans, and we were just blown away how many FAU students, and these are FAU students that were in online classes, didn't have reliable access to internet. So again, students are feeling stranded not only in their homes, but virtually as well.
And that proves true again for students that are distracted. unlike Patrick, I know Patrick says that he has only been to the office twice thus far. I've actually been coming to the office every day, socially distancing, of course, and making sure that things are just working well within office. But I have witnessed students being in the parking lot as I'm leaving in their car, and they may have been doing homework, they may have been Pokemon hunting, who knows? But this has again been evidence of the number of students that I have seen on campus that are trying to utilize data and utilize those resources. In terms of feeling distracted, many students do not have a quiet space at home where they can complete coursework. And thank you to Patrick for, again, those examples of, students using Wi-Fi in particular areas, whether it be at Starbucks, in various parking lots, where have you, because these echo true for study spaces. Students, we are, and this goes to the second point of students being at home based on COVID-19, everyone is home during this point in time. And so it's hard for many of them to concentrate on their studies. They may have younger siblings that may be vying for their attention. They may have family members that may need something of them in those particular times. And you can put yourself in their shoes because I'm sure that many of you have been in meetings and the door is opened and your child runs in and asks a question because they don't understand that right now is not a good time. And so it's just, again, trying to understand that this is a difficult time for everyone and that many students are grappling with different pieces as they are navigating through this time um, working remotely.
Thank you, Ronald. And last but not least, we have anxious. So I think we'd be hard pressed to find anyone in the university community at this point in our country's history that isn't feeling anxious in some sense. But let's focus on the students right now during this period of remote learning. Uh, Students are anxious about their academic trajectories. The faculty senate meeting that's coming up at 1 that I encourage all of you to attend has the draft of the opening plan for the university. So that draft isn't finalized yet. So for students, that's anxiety provoking. They don't know when they'll be back on campus. They don't know if certain classes for their degrees will be offered online. What about laboratories? Um, there's a great deal of variety about anxiety, I'm sorry, about how their academic trajectory could be impacted by the COVID-19 closure. Um, and then just for a second, I'll focus on our seniors at FAU that are in our courses. Many of them are worried about career prospects. We've seen some industries that have been completely turned on their heads because of COVID-19, hospitality being an excellent example. So we may have a bunch of students working towards that degree who 6 months ago they thought that they'd easily find a job, and now they're looking at graduating, and it's going to be difficult for them. So that makes our students anxious. And really, all of the previous 4 feelings that we've discussed can amplify anxiety. And Ronald, in a little bit, is going to get into some of the resources that are available for the student experience for a lot of the things we discussed, but specifically anxiety as well.
And so we want to turn it over to each of you. I see that Dr. Jennifer Biebergal raised a concern. So that'll be our first kickoff for Let's Talk About It. For this is this right now is an opportunity for you as the participants to speak on, again, some of the things that you have experienced with students in the classroom. If you're not in the classroom, other experiences that you may have encountered. And let us know and let's have that dialogue at this moment in time. So Dr. Biebergal mentioned that one concern that she's hearing is that students in the fall that may be taking classes online as well as taking classes face-to-face may not necessarily have that place to go in between times. And that is definitely a concern for these students in trying to figure out how to navigate through a virtual world and real life experience. So if you have a question, I believe there's a raise the hand feature that's available, and then they can turn your or give you permission to speak, but everyone should have an opportunity to turn their mics and lend their voice at this moment. All right. Well, in academic support, of course, we allow wait time to happen, but due to time, if you have any questions or comments, by all means, again, feel free to drop it into the chat box, and we will be sure to address those then. But at this moment in time, we're going to go ahead and move along and talk about some tips for online academic success within your classrooms.
Thank you, Ronald. So hopefully with that last part, we did so well that we just answered every question that anybody had about this period of remote learning and student support. Um, but no, in all honesty, like Ronald said, this is a brief presentation. We definitely want to continue the conversation with our faculty member about how we can best support students through academic support and other avenues. So we're very interested in this topic and look forward to continuing the conversation. It can be a lot to digest. Um, so based on what we know now about kind of the student experience and what it's like, what are some tips for online academic success that faculty members can pass on to their students? So these are posted on our website. They're on a graphic that outlines each of these more, but I've abbreviated them here, and I'll just kind of go through and just talk a little bit about each one, how students can meet these goals during this period of remote learning. So the first one is to own your experience, and something that may not be thought of very often, but all FAU students are online students right now. They do not have, we don't have control over that. All faculty are online faculty right now. We don't have control of that. So really having the student take ownership of their learning experience, um, and set that expectation, if you will, that they are active in the course multiple times per week, that they're monitoring the communications from their faculty members and responding appropriately, that they're spending at least 8 hours a week in each of your courses. And some students, when we say spending 8 hours a week, they just, it's like deer in headlights look. And that's just a baseline again, but um, to be successful in these online classes, you have to dedicate time. So they really have to own their experience and see themselves, as even though we're not in control of the situation, they can still be in control of their academic success. And as faculty members, you can support them in that endeavor. The second one there is to set realistic expectations. And I got into that a little bit with the time requirement for online courses. Um, Many students think that like transitioning to online is just easy peasy done, right? Because they know how to navigate a cell phone, they know how to navigate Instagram and Snapchat. They think they're very well versed with the technology. Um, they think that their study skills will translate um, just right into an online course. Um, and many of them come with this takeaway that they don't think they have to spend as much time or put forth as much effort in an online course. And through working with students, we found that this is not the case. Oftentimes, students may have to spend more time working on an online course, especially considering when some online courses don't have a lecture component. Students should be making up for that time. So again, as a faculty member, just helping set realistic expectations in the syllabus. Some of this stuff may seem very, intuitive for us, but maybe not so much for our students. So just being sure that we clearly communicate what our expectations are in terms of time and in terms of what the students are going to have to put forth to be academically successful. The third one there is understanding Canvas and other educational technology. We've gotten into this conversation pretty thoroughly. Um, all of our online courses are delivered through Canvas. There's many students that have taken face-to-face classes that have used Canvas kind of as a supplement to the in-person class. Well, now Canvas is all they have. So it's really important that they know how to navigate Canvas. So e-learning has a great team of instructional designers, and I believe they still have weekly office hours where you can stop in and get help with your online course. So the way that it's laid out can help students easily understand Canvas. And another great resource for students for Canvas is through the FAU Keep Learning webpage. There's actually some guides. There's actually a course, a Canvas course that goes through how to use Canvas and all the different aspects, and that's open for all students at FAU. And there's a lot of useful tips on that page for other technologies such as WebEx, other synchronous tools, or Google Suites. So the FAU Keep Learning page is a great resource for your students. I'll jump right into Know Your Resources. So the Keep Learning page for students. Then on the other side of that, there's the Keep Teaching page, which I hope that you all have been to. But that outlines a lot of good resources for faculty as they adjust to this period of remote instruction. It's just like it mirrors the student Keep Learning page in that it condenses all of the available resources and information to one spot. I'll just put in here Know Your Resources. From what I've seen with online courses, sometimes there can be radio silence between the students and the faculty. I'd encourage to just reach out to the students and let them know consistently throughout the term that you're a resource for them um, during the semester, that you are having virtual office hours, that you are invested in their success. We've seen that even simple outreach like that can really impact the student experience in the online class and positively impact student success in the course. And last but not least, we talked about completing online courses at Starbucks in the parking lot or in the FAU parking lot because students can't get into the library. Um, Developing a study space is very challenging for students during this period, but as faculty members, we really need to encourage them to try to develop some sort of study space where they can go and work uninterrupted. That's relatively quiet, and maybe we can't do as best as we can during regular times, like the quiet floor in the library, in the FAU library. Um, but maybe they can use their bedroom at certain times during the day, or a family office or something like that. But as faculty members, just you can help them set that expectation by mentioning you can be more successful if you are able to work uninterrupted in a quiet space, and that is sort of a expectation for you during this online course. And again, e-learning, I think we'll send out this and a couple other graphics that go more in detail, but this is just an overview of these success tips.
Thank you, Patrick. And as we get into resources and again talking about success tips, one of the other things that we want to keep in mind is that internet may not necessarily be as stable in many places. So again, trying to understand that, I'm sure many of you have navigated through having Wi-Fi drop in your homes and you have to navigate to certain spaces. But remember that some of the same issues that you may be dealing with, your students are also dealing with. So just reassuring them that they will get through the coursework, that they will just need to probably reposition themselves. Those type of things are necessary, again, to help with the student experience in the classroom. Through the Center for Teaching and Learning, we have a host of resources that are available to your students during this point in time. And we would like to share those with you. Just to begin, through the Center for Learning and Student Success, so there are three main areas within the Center for Teaching and Learning that are available for your students. CLASS, the Center for Learning and Student Success, the Writing Center, as well as the Math Learning Center. All platforms offer to your students online support. Through the class office, we offer supplemental instruction sessions. We have abbreviated sessions this this summer, meaning that we have fewer classes that we are supporting versus the number of classes that we support typically in the fall and spring semesters. But this is an opportunity for your students to collaborate with their colleagues in sessions much like this. We utilize WebEx as our platform, and so students have an opportunity to really break down a lot of the course content and really try to understand what is going on in the classroom. So if you have a course that is supported by supplemental instruction, we encourage you to encourage your students to participate in those sessions. In addition to supplemental instruction, we offer tutoring. And tutoring is an opportunity for your students to um, do their work and come with questions and come and try to get as much understanding as they possibly can from the course content. Our SI leaders and our tutors have and do work right alongside our faculty members. So they know what's going on in the classroom. And it's, again, a great opportunity for your students to, as we talked about loneliness and not being connected, this is a great way for them to feel connected. The Math Learning Center provides embedded math tutors within the classes or within many of the math courses. So if you're a math faculty member and you have embedded tutoring, again, trying to encourage your students to participate in those sessions is going to be key. We know and understand that the classroom setting is the environment for them to best learn, but outside of that, trying to understand exactly what's going on during the tutoring sessions is going to help them navigate through the course content. So we encourage you to encourage your students for those sessions. The University Center for Excellence in Writing covers all courses that are outside of class and also the Math Learning Center, so writing intensive courses. And the UCW has actually moved to a new online platform for their scheduling system. It's called WC Online. And so through this new platform, students are able to work with their consultants virtually and really try to understand what is going on with their paperwork, their courses, writing assignments. And so we encourage you to have your students visit the Writing Center's website. You can find all of these resources available via the CTL website, and I'll give that to you at the end. But the Writing Center, again, is a great opportunity for them to help understand their writing assignments along the way. Patrick and his team lead a tech literacy coaching series, and so this is an opportunity for your students if they are grappling with trying to navigate through Respondus, or as you have, wonderfully laid out your course and you know where everything is, many times your students may not know where a video may be or where an assignment may be. And so our coaching program will help navigate them through those tech issues. And so if your students need assistance or if you are having many questions from students about technology, encourage them to meet with Patrick and his team, and we'll be more than happy to help out with that. In addition to those resources, if you are, again, conversing with students about some other areas, we offer through the Center for Learning and Student Success civic literacy workshops, and these are opportunities where students can attend workshops and help them satisfy the requirement, the civic literacy requirement within their first semester here at FAU, as we are getting ready to invite new freshmen onto campus this summer. This will be a great way if you are teaching a freshman course to encourage them to participate in the civic literacy workshops that are available online. Sign up for the free test, take that, and get that out of the way within their first year here at FAU. Um, for partners in student affairs, as we have talked about COVID-19, student health services would definitely be the resource available for your students. And as there is unrest with racial inequality at this moment in time, the Center for Inclusion, Diversity, Education, and Advocacy, or the Center for Ideas, as well as counseling and psychological services would be those resources that are available to your students. So we encourage you, again, as faculty members to really understand the resources that are available here at FAU, so that you are able to speak to that to your students. And as Patrick pointed out earlier, the provost office offers the provost office as well as OIT offers keep teaching and keep learning resources that are available to you so that you can make your classroom experience great for your students.
Alrighty, so we went through a whole lot of information rather quickly. It can be a lot to think about and a lot to digest. We do have a little bit of time, so we can open it up for Q&A in a moment. But I just wanted to say that you can contact us in the class office at any time. We work with a lot of faculty across the university, helping support students in online classes, but also face-to-face classes. We'd love to hear from you, learn from you, and discuss how we can move forward and best support our students. I think this period has been challenging for all of us, remote learning. But I think the silver lining may be is we may come out of this with a better understanding of how we can support students online, and just how we can partner together to work for student success at FAU. Our contact information is listed here. Obviously, we're in General Classroom South, but you can't visit us right now. But feel free to call us. That's our office number. We are staffing the office. And then my email and Ronald's email is there as well. But since we have some time, and I know the Faculty Senate meeting is coming up soon, but we'll open it up if you have a few questions. Okay, we have one from Urea.
Ilaria Serra.
Ilaria, okay, sorry.
Yes, hi, hello. I'm teaching Italian online for the first time, and I have a few challenges. I've encountered a few problems. And the main one is to keep the students engaged but not overwhelmed. So finding a balance and even keeping them interested. So I don't even know if they're reading my announcements, and I'm arrived to the point that I'm putting quizzes on the announcements. I haven't done it yet, but I think maybe that's the way to do it. If they're not graded things, they don't do them. So I wonder if anybody has the same problem and if I'm just stressing them out and adding anxiety to anxiety, as you were saying.
No, I think you bring up a great point about how we reach our students during this period of remote instruction. I think even before the university closure and everything moved online, in our center, we're finding that
Yes.
students are often email blind. They just get so many emails and notifications that they may not be going through all of them thoroughly. So I think there is that balance with trying to engage the students and letting them know what's happening. But we found anything other than email to really be the most useful. So I know in Canvas there's ways to actually like record announcements or record feedback so they can see your face, know that you're an actual faculty member at FAU, um, and that can go a long way. But I think it is challenging to get them to read all of the information. I think for engagement, the e-learning center they can really help with developing an engaging course. And that may not happen this term, but this is a learning experience for all of us. So they have great instructional designers that can help you, make sure that you're engaging the students fully online.
Yes, yes. They're already helping me. I have to thank them.
And there are resources again within Canvas that will, allow you the opportunity to see the last time a student has logged into the session or logged into your course. And so, if you haven't seen a student since the first week of the semester, that can be problematic. But if you see students are active based on this report, then at least you know that they're, engaging in some level with the course. And so that might be a great way to, and I know you have a lot on your plate, but a great way to really reach out to them and target them specifically to say, I haven't seen you in a while. Or if you don't have the time, then class can help you out with that. Just send us that list and we'll be able to really work with those students to get them back on track.
Okay, so should I send a list to you, class?
You can send it to me directly at
Okay,
my
thank you,
email that's on the screen there, and then I'll go through and reach out. I'll call the students and see if there's a reason why they're not being responsive, just to provide a personal touch beyond email.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And there's a question in the chat box about whether the PowerPoint will be available later. And yes, the PowerPoint should be available to you. If you don't see it later, then by all means, feel free to email Patrick and I, and we'll be more than happy to send it out to you.
Alrighty. Well, like I said, we want to continue this conversation with you. Contact us anytime. Hopefully you see by this interaction that we're very approachable. We're fun, and we want to help our students and help you in any way that we can. So reach out via email, reach out via phone. I hope all of you will be attending the faculty senate meeting to talk about the reopening plan. And again, thank you so much for your support in attending, and we hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Center for Online and Continuing Education for allowing this platform and allowing us this opportunity to speak to everyone today.